Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And in today's episode, the topic is it time for the Clippers to make some major changes? So that's the topic I'm going to get into in today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Also be on the lookout for our Dreamerspro Premium community, and also be on the lookout for Dreamerspro.com. So today I want to talk about the Clippers in this particular way, about the changes that they may need to make. Obviously, you know, the trades are starting to take place. We just recently saw Derrick Rose get moved back to the New York Knicks to go play with Tom Thibodeau, who was the coach he started his NBA career with. Funny enough, they've played. This will be the third time these guys have linked up. They linked up, of course, in Chicago when he won his first MVP, when he was making the playoffs, when he was healthy. Then he went to go play with the Minnesota Timberwolves. He was there last. I think the biggest memory we remember from Derrick Rose when he was playing with the Timberwolves was when he had that 50-point game, bounced around a bit, and then now he's heading back to New York, a place I think he's been before anyway. So things are starting to make, there's some moves that are starting to go down right now in the NBA season. Some people have complained, according to Woj Adrianowski, that, listen, there are not too many, this free agency market as far as players that they can be moved around before the trading deadline. There aren't too many great pieces out there to be moved. Of course, you have the Bradley Beals of the world that are disgruntled. I've heard some things about LaMarcus Aldridge and others, but that, you know, the market isn't booming right now. Now, obviously, there's some pieces that can be moved that none of us know. There are moves that can be made, and at the end, when they're made, a lot of us are going to come back surprised, like, wow, I didn't know that just took place. Of course, because they're insiders and they're GMs and agents that are working behind the scenes that we don't know, right? Because they're about over 400 players in the NBA. For you to track every single player and know which player could be potentially moved without hearing the rumors or anything like that, you just really don't know what's happening at all. You don't know what's going to happen. Just like when James Harden ended up with the Brooklyn Nets, everyone was taken by surprise, right? I don't think we knew he wanted to go there, but we also knew it wasn't a sure thing. Anyway, let me get into the Clippers here. So the Clippers have been having a good season so far. They've had a great season. I think they're having a better season than they did last year. Their stars are playing well in Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Paul George is having a 50, 40, 90 season. He's having a bounce back season. He's averaging close to 25 points per game, 5 rebounds, 5+ assists, getting you at least a steal. He's shooting well. Kawhi Leonard is averaging around 26 points per game, 5 rebounds, 5+ assists. He's getting you close to 2 steals a game, and his efficiency is there. Although Kawhi hasn't been playing to the level that he needs to play. In the last 3 out of the last 4 games that they've dropped to the Celtics, Nets, and I think they dropped the last game to the Sacramento Kings. So, but obviously it's not all his fault, and we touched on that recently in the recent video that we just published. But today I want to focus on some other things, because the Clippers have also been improving their defense. They're starting to become one of the highest rated teams on the defensive end of the floor. They're one of the best teams in offense, one of the top 3-point shooting teams in the league, top field goal percentage shooting teams in the league, top free throw shooting teams in the league. So they're up there and they're having a solid season, although they're still getting better, and they still need to work on some of their habits by the time the playoffs come. But they have some time. They have at least 2 or 3 months to really iron out a lot of the wrinkles that they currently have right now. But anyway, let me focus on some of the major weaknesses that they still have, right? And some of the major weaknesses that this team still has is at the point guard spot. Let's just be honest, okay? That's where their major weaknesses are. And there are 3 main candidates that I'm going to cover. First of all, let's talk about Lou Williams, right? Lou Williams, y'all know how I feel about Lou Williams. Given him what happened in the bubble last season, in last playoffs, I told you from that time forward, I never thought Lou Williams was a serious guy. Lou Williams is a year older than me. I'm 33. Lou Williams is 34. For Lou Williams to have that type of story come out about him at that age, at 34 years old, when you understand what's on the line, when the NBA is trying to, you know, make their playoffs work, given the fact that COVID was rampant at that time and there weren't that many solutions. They were one of the few leagues that were trying to figure out how to make things work. And you find yourself in the middle of a story like that, to the point where people are now on TV making fun of you and calling you out of your name by calling you Lemon Pepper Lou. What kind of embarrassment is that, for having people to be calling you that make that part of your name? It's not a term of endearment. It's a term of people. It's not something positive for people to calling you Lemon Pepper Lou. It's not a funny thing. And for to have something said about you like that, if it was me, I'd be extremely embarrassed that I'd allow myself, as a professional, as a young man, as a mature man, to have those type of things be said about me. It just wouldn't be a good look. If it was a family member of mine that was in that position and him and I were communicating, I'll tell him flat out, man, you effing up, flat out. You know, you can't have those type of things being said about you. So once I understood that, I understood that Lou Williams wasn't really a serious guy. That's just my opinion. I really don't care. That's my opinion. If he sees it, that's his damn business. So that's the first thing. And for me, I didn't think it was a good example in the locker room. It's just one of the things that they didn't need. Secondly, his poor decision making in games. Lou Williams gets you at least 2 turnovers a game, usually trying to get passes to Zoo, because a lot of his passes are telegraphed. And it's very easy for the opponent to read them, which is something I don't like from a point guard. Sometimes he has some back-breaking turnovers at key moments when you don't need the momentum-breaking turnovers, which I don't like. Another thing is his age. Maybe some people are saying his age is finally catching up to him. Lou Williams is about 36 years old, 34 years old. Maybe his age is also playing a role in his lack of production. Last season, he averaged about double the amount of points that he's averaging this season, and ultimately his lack of defense. Right, his defense is another issue. If you watch the game against them in the Sacramento King, yes, Lou Williams gives you offense. This season is kind of hit or miss, but anyway, he gives you offense. But then in a situation like that, in a crunch time moment, you saw they had to keep on subbing him out because of his lack of defense. Usually when you see things like that, the reason they sub players out for 2 reasons: either they lack of defense or they can't hit free throws. In his case, it was a lack of defense, and it just kept up messing things up. So those are the issues there with Lou Williams. Then you have Reggie Jackson, who's a scorer. He's great on offense. He's a scorer. He's great on offense, but he doesn't really play great defense. If you look at Reggie Jackson's body language, he seems a bit lackadaisical. If you see the way he runs up and down the court, he doesn't seem like he just seems very like to have a kind of passive attitude. Just looking at his body language, this is my opinion, but maybe that's just him. Maybe that's just how he walks. And obviously, he's not very good at decision making. He makes some suspect decision making moves, which is why sometimes when he's running the team, starting the games, I'm not very confident in his decision making abilities. Sometimes he'll be just running the offense, and then all of a sudden feel like I need to score. So that's something with him. Then you have Patrick Beverley, who's their starter, who plays a fantastic defense, one of the best defenders at his position in the NBA. He's a great knockdown three-point shooter. He shoots about 40% from the three-point line, which is also very good. The issue with Patrick Beverley, however, is number 1 is his age, and number 2 is the fact that he's always injured. He always seems to be injured. Last season, it was the same issue. This season, it's the same issue. He's been out for at least 9 or 10 games now in a row, and that's the biggest problem. Your biggest strength is your availability, and in this case, he's not been available, so he's not been able to help the Clippers in any way, shape, or form because he hasn't been on the court. So that's the issue with these 3-point guards that they have. These are the major problems that they have. Now, let me give you guys my recommendation. I think that the Clippers should try to get a package together and trade away Lou Williams and Reggie Jackson for another point guard, a two-way point guard. A prototypical point guard doesn't need to be a young guy, but a prototypical point guard that can hit threes and play defense and run an offense. Those are the 3 things that you need. You don't need anybody to get you 15 plus points a game. You need somebody to run your offense. They have enough shooters. They have enough offense on the floor. I think that point guard should be the backup to Patrick Beverley. And in the interim, or in the case that Patrick Beverley gets injured, this point guard that they're going to acquire, he should start and then bring Terrence Mann off the bench as the second string point guard. Because listen, Terrence Mann can come off the bench. When he does get his opportunities, Terrence Mann plays with a lot of energy. He's a very good decision maker, although he's a second-year player. He plays defense, and he's long and athletic. He can run the court. He can shot block. He plays with a lot of energy, and I think he gives them more length on the defensive side of the floor, which is something that they need. He has quick feet. He can stay with some of the players that he has. I think the only issue with Terrence Mann is, number 1, his confidence. Last game, I saw him pass up a shot because he wasn't as sure. Now, some people say maybe he made the higher percentage move to hit Marcus Morris Sr. to take that open 3. But I think he's still working on his confidence, which is understandable. He's a second-year player. But I think if you have him as your second-string point guard, you know he's going to be available. You know he's going to play with a lot of energy. You know he's going to be willing to listen. You know he's going to be willing to learn. And you know you're not going to get any drama from him because he's trying to make a way for himself in the NBA. So for me, that's what I think the Clippers should do. I think they should try to find a way to package Lou Williams and Reggie Jackson and get them the hell up out of there and try to get another point guard in return that can play defense, hit threes, and run an offense. But you don't need somebody spectacular, maybe like a George Hill or somebody of that ilk. So what I want to know from you guys is, do you agree with me that the Clippers need to make this particular moves or not? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Again, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out the next video that we have coming up. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro, wishing you guys an amazing day and catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.